Good morning, everybody. Do it. Bum, 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 bum. All right, groovy. Sorry, guys. All right, let's get to it here. I got to check the mic and make sure I'm on the right mic. It's been jumping mics on me lately. Picking up these weird mics because I got mics everywhere. You know, them internets sneak up on you. Come on, you can do it. Yay. All right, let's get to it. So, first and foremost, let's check this mic and go there. All right, cool. We're good. You're bidding up this morning. I think we should probably start there and we'll go from there. But you're going to see a lot of these raw material companies just continue to explode. I don't think there's much more to say anything about that. I would fully expect these names to continue to explode to the upside. You know, like any of these material names. I don't see how they're not, because people are going to just be so concerned about, can they get enough gold? Can they get enough silver? Copper, all of this stuff is just going to wind up going higher. FCX, SCCO, all of it, right? There's like really no reason for it to not go higher. I was really surprised that SCCO actually sold down. It just made 0 sense the other day. But more importantly for us is what we have to do is just kind of go forward and say, okay, what do we do about it now? And I think there's a couple things to look at. I don't know that you really want to chase anything here. Like you can, and it might work, but I don't know. I don't know that it makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. You know, I mean, can it curl here? Can the market curl here? 100%. Can this all go higher? 100%. These names can go higher now. The real question boils down to, you know, is it worth the risk? You know, you can try it. I just don't know that it's worth the risk right now for me to put these on. I think I'm better off waiting and checking the volatility off the open and going from there. But there's no doubt about it that all these, you know, rare earth names are going to be all over the place today. And you can see these levels pretty clearly. It doesn't matter which one you pick. You know, this one probably goes a little nuttier because the government has a stake in it. And then you have LAC, the government has a stake in that one. So, you know, CRML was one. You know, I'm trying to figure it out, like what's the best way to do it. I think it's probably going to be the smaller names because retail is going to get all giddy, but they're all making lower lows. So I don't know that you have to be in a hurry. The next thing is going to be everyone's going to buy, you know, OKLO, and everyone's going to buy the uranium names. I don't know that that's really the trade either. To me, that's like, maybe I want to start getting out of that stuff. On the pop, you know, that's kind of where my head is. We owned this in the community. And when it popped this morning, we're, you know, up 10, 20 bucks. At one point, I think we were up like 30. You know, there's nothing for me to do except to scale out of the trade in a market like this. It's really hard to look at this market and think that you're just going to, you know, bounce and rally. I just don't see it that way at all. And you're really wedged in. We talked about that wedge up here. You can see where we broke and then retested that wedge, and then that was it. So, but what I'm going to do here, and this is how I think you should look at it, I'm going to get rid of this. And what I would do is I would just do the simplest of things. I would say, okay, this is what we have. This is what happened to us on Friday. And this is pretty much everything that we need right now. And then I would drop a fib on that from here to here. And then from there, this should move up just a little bit to like 38-ish right there, which is kind of crazy that it stopped right there too. It's a big level. And then look and go, okay, I did a 61.8% retracement already. I gapped up and I did this retracement. So at 61.8%, and then I stopped. And we can go out there, and I don't put the others in. I know guys want me to put the other one in. I don't know why. I just don't. We don't really need to put the 50% in because it's not a fib, but we'll put it there. And then you can see your levels, and how that's going from this level over. I don't know that you really have to do anything here. If I take a look at the low, you're fighting that low. So the average person in from that low is already getting out of that trade. If you just think about it that way, the average person that bought that low is now fighting to stay in that trade. It's not exactly an endorsement. If you put it at the high, it might get a different price, but not really. So, because it's just a day. So we can mark the high, and maybe that's the easiest way to do it because that'll register more with people. But from my perspective and looking at it, I really think that's how you should be looking at this. I don't think it's a coincidence that you're stopping right at the 50% line and you're right at VWAP and you're fighting VWAP. You need to stay above VWAP because if the average person that bought this area, if they lose it, you have a problem. And you don't want to hit this and sit on it. You want to hit this, and then from there, you want to rip. And that's not what you're doing here. You're just like parked. So I don't know that all this is just going to resolve itself because everybody wants it to. And everyone's like, oh, I have to get back in the market like immediately. Okay. I don't know that you do. And I don't know that that's how I would view it either. So for me, it's one of those things where, and I'll mark off this high as well. And I really think that this is all you should be looking at for at least for the open. And then you can kind of go from there. If you look at the 50 here, at least you're hitting it a little more emphatically and bouncing off of it. But you've got to go to the top of this again and say, okay, well, yeah, we are holding that level. And the way that I would look at the world is, all right, so I've got the 50 here and I also have VWAP there. So it doesn't really get any bigger for a level than something like that. So going out there and just, it can even go out there. I probably just put an alert on this. It might just be easier because it's the same level. When it hits it, I'll know. But understanding that that's it, man. Like that's your level. That's what you want to pay attention to, or that's how I want to pay attention to it. And that's how I say it. And then the next thing I would do is just go and take a look at something like the Qs and see where they're at. And flip that over so it's not my face. And then kind of go make sure that those levels are the same. And just give me a second and I'll double check those right now to make sure that I'm giving you the most updated stuff. And then we can kind of go from there. I just want to make sure of it, that we are doing that. And let's go equity. Go into this, use this service. And yep, so 620 is still your call wall. 590 still that put wall, and that's also that other area that I want to watch. And then 600 is obviously going to be a big number from anyone's perspective. Like that's a really big number, and you can see you're just fighting that level right there. So I think they're your really big levels, and I think you should be looking at it very similarly. What I might do with this a little differently is I might want to mark the top of that off and then mark the bottom of this off and see if there's any difference here at all. And they're not going to really give me that. But if I then do this with it, watch, it should then. So you're going to get, a different kind of tape from the people that bought that bottom to where you are. I don't think it really matters there, but that is another level. It's going to take you right to that put area. So I think you have a shot at coming back to that 590 today. The way that I would look at this market is relatively simple. I would look at this and say to myself, I'm at 600. I really need to get over that. If I can't, you might have a problem, because I just don't think that we're definitely going to go higher crowd is really going to work. I just, I don't think it's going to be that simple. And if I'm to, really look at that, I think you could just easily come back down to that 590. Now, I don't know that you're going to break 590. I don't know that that's going to happen. But I don't know why you couldn't retest that level. I mean, you were just there. You literally were just there. So I think that's the best way to look at that. If we take a look at the SPY, and let's just take a look at the same thing here. Yeah, I mean, the call walls on these things are so high, like it doesn't really even matter where it is. But, you're in here on your pull. Like it's literally, is that gray? I don't want to leave that gray. Let's go and change that. So when I look at something like that, let's go in the background. Yay. And I look at that level. I just don't see how you're not coming down to that level to retest that. And let's see what it did there. You went through it on Friday. So I don't know how you're not going to come to that, that level. There seems to be, some stuff up here at 662. Let me just see something. Yeah, I think if you break like 660, if you break like 657, like this can fall, you can fall apart here, man. You could fall apart here. So I would also just watch this right in here. I don't know how you don't retest this. I really don't know how you're not going to retest that area. And if you take a look at the previous day, you're already coming to that area and rejecting. Is that what's happening right now? Same thing. Same soup reheated. So, I mean, that's really how I see it. I mean, you're literally right on it right now. I'm going to open it up for questions. There's 1,000 names I could go over. I think we're better off just taking questions right now and going from there. What's up, Jonah? Yeah, I mean, I guess the way that I'm looking at it, brother, is like, did things get better? I mean, not really. China's like, oh, it's not a ban. You just came out and said that every single person has to apply for a license in the global supply chain. And if you don't like us, we're not getting a license. Like Porsche can't run their business that way. They just can't. So, Germany's really freaking out over this. I will be honest about it, Jonah. Like the one thing that really stood out to me was, man, that's all you dropped. Like that's it. Because this really impacts Europe greatly. And for Europe to open up their car market to China, and then for China to do this is like, it's a big middle finger in my opinion. But, what do I know? I think it's a real issue for China. I'm sorry, for Germany. I think it's a huge issue for Europe. So Europe's got some big decisions to make on how long this thing's going to all stay together. I don't think it's going to stay together in my lifetime, the EU. Personally, that's just where my head is with it. But who knows? From a technical standpoint today, Germany going down, Deutsche Bank coming in hard would not surprise me like at all. Like not even a little bit. I'm surprised this stuff's bidding up, to be honest with you. I would also think that EU AD is going to go up. But there I go again thinking. So, but I'm not buying the banana in the tailpipe like, oh, come on in, everything's fine. Like it's not. And I don't know that you have issues. Like, do you have issues with the consumer? Yeah, you got issues with the consumer, but I think you have more issues with the private credit side of the market. And I think that's where the real issues are going to come. Like if someone had to say to me, what are the things that no one's talking about that's the issue that takes you down besides tariffs? I think it's the private credit side of the market. I do. Thank you. So I got to get this out. If you are trying to get in the community, please make sure you're on the wait list when I'm thinking about it. I want to just get that out there. We're adding a lot of features soon, a lot more. There's already a ton in there. And then the price is going to double next year. I don't raise it on the people that are in. I've got people that have been grandfathered forever, but just if you're trying to get it in, make sure you're at least on the wait list, because then at least you'll have the opportunity at the current price. Because once it's there, it's there. Because the room can only hold so many people. Because we interact and I actually do the onboarding. Give me 1 second here. I got to click on this one. I'm thinking about it. So Jonah, I'm kind of in the same camp. Like, everyone's like, oh no, let's get back in the market. Like, okay, man, you first. Like, okay, go for it. I'm of the camp of, I probably want to buy volatility this morning more than anything, is really where my head is with everything. Cause it's like, all right, well, if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, but at least I have the trade on, you know? That's really where my head is with it. Like, oh, just put it on. And then if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Cool. It doesn't matter. At least I made something on it. That's kind of how I'm viewing it right now. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't, if I came in like here, Jonah, like, here's a great point. If I came in and the VIX was like 17, I'd be like, oh, cool. Let's get back in the market. I mean, all right. So the VIX is what? Down 10%. Okay. I can't even break 20. Okay. Like, that's not really a ringing endorsement here. In my opinion, right? So I don't know. It's not really a ringing endorsement to me. Give me 1 second. I just want to check something. That's what you took from that, huh? Give me 1 second, please. I just see something I have to do. Great. Sorry, guys. So that's kind of where my head is, Jonah. No, the macro events to me are that we don't have macro events. I guess that's really how I'm looking at it. That seems to be the macro event. Pepsi, I wouldn't go near. Southern Company, I think, makes a lot of sense. I think people might start buying the utilities again. It does make a lot of sense to me to start buying these names. It really does. This kind of stuff, you really look at these names and you realize where you're at, how long they just kind of keep going up and not a care in the world, right? I really think that uranium names are going to be the next utilities. That's where my head is with it. But it's absolutely crazy to me when I look at this stuff and realize you could own this for $1. And now you just keep getting that dividend over and over again. Not a care in the world, So it's just crazy to me. But yeah, I like that name a lot. Duke Energy, all those names make a lot of sense to me. I mean, power's not going away. We all talk about nuclear, but you need these companies. Like, you need all these companies. Like, they're not going away as long as you have power. You need power until they come up with something else, until we're running on rainbows and butterflies. You need power. So I like these names a lot for long term. I always have. They make so much sense. Yeah, I saw that people are excited about WWR today. This kind of stuff. All right, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I'm not really interested in this today. I'm more interested in big boy moves, to be honest with you. Like, I got to really just look at the market and see what's going on here, man, because you got a lot of moving parts, and you're going to have a lot of headline risk. I'm not getting caught in some dollar name today. So, I just could go up to 4. They could have invented air. Cool. And I wish people the best with them. But it's not the day for this kind of nonsense, in my opinion. I hope it works for you guys. I saw a bunch of people talking about it, but that's not the day. This is not the day for me. Peace Guy's going to have to pay more money than they thought. And the stock probably dropped on this, right? They're going to have to pay way more than they thought, which the trade for me really is to just own Warner Brothers at this point. I don't know that Warner Brothers is going to settle for just stock or just cash. I think they're going to want an equity stake in the company. I think that's where this is going. And so I think because they turned down $20. So, and the stock's up. They're not going away. Like, no one's going to walk away from Warner Brothers. They're going to try and get it done. BE, I had a full position on. I came in this morning. They got a $5 billion contract. I'll just be candid. I couldn't get out fast enough. So, boom, was up 10 out, up 20 out, moved my stops up. I think we were up 28 or 29 or 30 at one point. So, I'm scaling out of stuff. I'm not putting it on. Like, I'm just being blunt about it. I don't care what they're doing right now because I don't know what the next thing is. So these kinds of gap ups, yeah, this is great. But, in September, I was at 60. And I understand it's a different game now. But in September, I was at 60 and nobody wanted it. And so you're getting these opportunities in these names over and over again where they're touching like the 22 or the 12. And you're able to get in them, buy them, put a stop in, leave them on. And then when they do this kind of stuff, like they had this pullback on their news on Friday, we bought it. It was up $4 or $5 on Friday. I didn't really sell it. And then I came into this today. I'm like, okay, tag. I want to de-risk until I can figure out what the heck is really going on here. The best thing for me would just be if, they hug it out. Like there's this huge bro hug out there. I have this pretty decent sized strangle on the market right now. So my hope, oh, good. We made world peace. So if we have, if we made world peace, that's great because then I'll just, I'll get out of the strangle and then I'll just reassess everything. But it looks like everybody's happy this morning, at least for the next 5 minutes. Looks like you got a little bump, which is nice. We got that going for us. And we'll see how long that lasts. Hopefully it lasts, hopefully it lasts. But I think that, overall, if AVGO up on the news, yeah, that makes actually sense because all these data centers really can't connect without AVGO. So that does make sense for them to get a deal like that. I don't know that these names are going to continue to move on that kind of stuff right now, but I'd be real careful chasing news right now. I'm not saying that it can't, but most people like myself, I think are just going to be like, yep, sell into the news, get my money, reassess, get my money, reassess. That's really where I think people are this morning. I could be wrong, but that's kind of how I say it. And it doesn't mean that, the stuff can't rip. But I want to be super, super careful here on what I'm doing. Like super careful. That actually might go. You see how that held there? And now you have this liquidity grab down there. So that actually might go. I'm not going to do it though. I just don't trust the market fully here. So I don't want to get caught in something and just get whacked right now. There's no reason to. Oh, I believe it. Good morning from Miami. Maybe because we all feel it won't last means it will last, right? you don't know. Let's see how big this deal is because this thing's still going. Like you're still pushing on that deal. How big's that deal? Because you're not letting up at all on that deal. So let's see how big this deal is. You're pushing into it. You're actually flipping. $10 gigawatts, OpenAI's AI accelerator, so it's a pretty big deal. All right. All right, so you just flipped it. Let's just pull something out while we're looking into it. Yeah, perfect. Good. Yep, great. Let's see how this goes. Perfect. Well, let's watch this here, see what it does. Yep. You're going to bounce all around here. Let's watch this level right there and see what you do. It's so interesting. I think you're going to go on it. I really do. But I think they're still playing games. So let's see. Let's see what you do. You're going to come in a little bit first. All right. Throw this up somewhere else so I can watch it. So we're not sitting there staring at it all day. I'll just throw that in over here. I want to watch this because I think there's more to that contract. The way that moved, the volume that came in. Let me make sure I'm on the right screen now. Good. All right, cool. I really do think there's something to that, the way that that's moving. So let's just keep our eye on that. That AVGO news seems like it's bigger than I thought it was. You got a lot of people coming into that trade, like a lot of volume now. Yeah, there's not really much to say here, man. I can go through all of them. CRML, all these names, CMRL, CRML, MP. You know, it looks to me like they're like this is like the leader of the group right now. So I think there's definitely, you know, I think there's definitely something to that. You know, there's definitely something to how that's playing out here, but for me, I don't know, man. I just don't want to chase anything. You know, I don't want to chase these names. I think that could just be a huge mistake here. What I want to do is I just want to watch how we're going to act on news names. Like this, I'm surprised. There's two things. Like there's two real big pieces of news today, right? BE got this contract that's already faded. This contract with AVGO looks absolutely huge. So the name might keep going. But realistically, what have I gotten so far? If we look at it, I've gotten one close over that high, and then I've got a rejection. And now we're completely rejecting 65. So you are rejecting in here, which is not, you know, it's not ideal. But you're going to want to watch both BE today. And I'd watch BE and I'd watch AVGO for a temperature in the market to see how this is going to go. You know, because that's really big news the more I look at it. That's where my head would be right now, and then saying, okay, well, how are we going to act on that news? Are we going to go up on it? Are we going to, you know, how's it going to go? Yeah, I actually think the rare earths are going to go higher, Troy. I actually think that not only that, but Jeff has a whole litany of other issues with the consumers stuff. So I actually think that these kinds of names like Jeffries, the fact that this is even bidding up is huge, because if you were looking to get the short off, you know, this might be your day with the bidding up. You know, you have not had an up day since you're looking at like September 30th, since earnings. You haven't had an up day, but all from the 24th too. once KMX missed and started complaining about what was going on there, that was it for that whole group. So like I've been short this, and I'm very comfortable being short that, but that's tied to Jeffries. Like all these consumer and private equity loans, they're all tied. I would watch that super, super closely. It's definitely something to watch. 100%. It's certainly a big deal from my standpoint, 100%. It's definitely something that I'd be paying attention to. Yeah, you'd have to watch that too. Cool. But if I wanted to get that short off, I mean, if you look at it here from where you're at on the 4 hour, like it's starting to turn, right? But here, watch without the pre and the post, like you're down here. And that doesn't mean that you can't go lower. You can always go lower. Like I had this SFM trade on and it didn't work. And I undercut, right? And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm at like a 5, right? And you'd see it right here, 6. And then I'm like, oh, it's going to bounce. All right. So it bounced from a 5 to 30 and the stock moved like $2. So yeah, that can happen. And that's not great by any stretch. So you definitely want to watch stuff like that and then see how it goes. So like for me, that's super important to get, and I don't know, that's kind of stuff's like super important for me to really understand in this kind of market. I don't know what happens here, but Jeffries could be having some real issues, like real issues. And it's definitely something that I'm paying attention to. What's going on there? All right, cool. Yep. Give me a sec there. All right, cool. But that's definitely something that, yeah, I'm paying attention to. And I don't know that it's going to get better for them or not. I mean, if you really look at this, like, this is crazy to me. Like, watch this whole space. If you really go from earnings on, you have not had a red day or a green day. If you go from the 24th on, from when that news hit, you never got above this level, like ever. So I think there's definitely something to that, and that needs to be paid attention to 100%. And look at these names. Like I went through this in Saturday's video a little bit. Like these names they're getting smoked. Aries, Al, like they're just getting destroyed. And I don't know that that's going to get any better. And I don't know how they're going to have a good quarter, man. I just don't know. But we'll see. But I think the Jeffries trade, like on the short side, yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, man. Like a lot. He had a big meeting today. So everyone's going to be pretty happy with him, I think, today. I mean, I'm assuming people want world peace, but you never know. They might not want it if he's the one that did it. Anyway, so if you kind of look at that area, you're really struggling up there with the top of that level. You can't break it. So I would watch that like a hawk. No, I mean, they've exacerbated the situation. They poked us. I mean, it's pretty, I'm in the US, so they poked us. I don't think anyone's in a great negotiating position because you basically are having a gun to your head by China. So it did not go over very well. Germany called the US like immediately. Like it did not go over very well at all. But maybe he's got to show a tougher stance than anything else. The one certainty that you do have is that he's around. And I think that's a very big deal that he's around. So yeah, I do think that's a little bit bigger of a deal than I would have thought of. So it's a big deal for me anyway, that I'm happier that he's around, that we're dealing with him. So I'm going to have to hurry up here, guys. What's up, Lynn? Oh, you're in the Carolinas. There you go. I think the mining stocks could 100% keep going. I'm surprised that all this stuff actually came in. This kind of stuff, yeah, but for how long? How long? Like, I own this. I mean, I'm up in it this morning and I have to make some decisions. Like, there's a lot of decisions to be made this morning. And usually when I have to make that kind of stuff, to me, they're no brainers. It's like when in doubt, reduce. Like, you don't even think about it. You just reduce, get out, reduce, cool, get out. I think that is really the crux of where my head is this morning. So, that's really how I say it, like just looking at stuff. And then, you really have to watch it all. Like, how high does this stuff go back to? And you always get another opportunity to buy. You don't always get another, and it doesn't matter if it's high or not. You don't always get another opportunity to protect your capital. And I think that lesson is lost on a lot of people. So let's just keep watching here and going through this. Let me see what else I can go over real quick before I got to jump here. Lithium, to me, I thought this was so interesting that lithium dropped like this. I think some of those names like TMQ and all this stuff, yeah, I do. I think they're all going to bid up. I think all that stuff can keep going, but at what cost? Like, do I need to get into it? Like, that's my point. Like, do I need to get into it right now? I just don't feel that way. I feel like I'm going to get some level of volatility and then I'll be able to kind of go from there. So that's really how I look at it. And, I don't think people want to own Intel because I think Intel came out with really dumb news. They acted like they had a deal with AMD Brewing, and basically the CEO made a phone call and Lisa Su didn't call him back. So I think people were kind of annoyed, to be honest with you. So why do I think that like Lam Research would hold and Intel wouldn't? Because people want to own Lam Research because of ASML. Like, ASML is coming out with earnings this week. Like, that's going to be a big deal for Lam Research. It's going to be a big deal for AMAT. It's going to be a big deal for KLAC. That they are huge deals for those companies. It means nothing to Intel, zero. So if I had to look at that, the fact that Intel's even weak like that, people are just going to get out of it. They're not going to hold it. They're not going to play that game. It's probably the easiest short out there, quite frankly, because it's probably going to get smoked like a lot of this other stuff. And if I had to look at this and say like, well, what gets smoked? Well, why would you, like, for what purpose are you even in this trade? Like, what is the reason that we're in this? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the purpose? Like, what are they going to do? Like the book value is $27. Like, what are we doing? They don't have they're not doing anything. They made some phone calls. Okay. I do think that these names can trade back up, but I don't know what they're going to do when they get there. And so for me, it's a game of hot potato right now. I don't see me upselling. Like, here's the thing that I always look at and I find extremely helpful. And if I could give you anything, like, this is how I always look at the market. I always look at what I sold and then look at, is it higher or lower? And that tells me, like, am I right or wrong? Get on the wait list. Just make sure you're on the wait list. GDRX, it doesn't really seem to be getting anywhere. Oracle's super interesting because they have their big day today. You really got to get over that 300. So, oh, did they? That's not surprising to me at all. I expect to see stuff like that, start seeing more stuff like that. Yeah, I also think you have to think about it like that. You could go out there and you could, like, the big thing for us is if the U.S. just says you need to delist off of the U.S. stock market, which, it's a thing. Then, it's a thing. I don't look at this one. Maybe I should, but I don't look at that one. Yeah, the AVGO is super interesting to me here. I mean, we all know that, right? Like we all know that this is going to be something that's going to be big. Like their bookings should definitely have gone up. They definitely should go up, right? Like we know that. We know their bookings should go up. So yeah, I like that collaboration. You any issues, just reach out to the concierge. Yeah, I don't stream anywhere else. People tell me I should stream other places, but why? I mean, I guess I could. It's just hitting a button. I'm sure he did tweet again. Everything's great. He was just on TV, so it was good. I don't know that they're going that it even makes sense. So, all right, guys, I'm out of here. Trade to win.